longer people stay in, the higher the chances are people will end up buying something. It's good news for the brands because they obviously the time they can interact with your brand will be longer or higher. It's good news for the event organizer because people will drink another beer, etc. But maybe most important is that it's good for the community.
Hello, everyone, to another episode of Basketball Nation Presents Beyond the Athlete. My name is Coach David, and we have another special guest. And the list of our guests right now keeps growing and growing, and we're speaking to some very, very interesting individuals within the world of sports, sneakers, business, marketing, everything fun in the creative field. And today we have the co-CEO of SNEAKERNESS International, Mr. Matthijs van der Meulen. How you doing, sir? Did I say that right?
Yeah, you said it perfectly, man.
Fantastic. Obviously I've just done like a intro for you, and for me, I said the audience would love to know what else you do. Give us a bit more insight into who you are.
Yep.
And I think that'll be great.
So where do I start?
From the beginning.
No, I think most relevant for the podcast is that, I would say obviously I've been into sneakers and street culture for a very, very long time, basically since childhood. Been skateboarding, been writing graffiti, doing a little bit of DJing, making music.
Nice. I can see the decks in the background.
Yeah. So basically my whole life is sort of centered around anything street culture related. Of course, in the past, this was all just hobby, just for fun. And over the years, I also got interested in the business side of things. I sort of more stumbled over the business side of things, I would say. Okay. That started with I did a graffiti website. Nice. Now it's getting grandpa is speaking, but that was in 1996. Wow. I think I was one of the first ones in Europe who did like a bigger graffiti website. And a friend of mine was a very good programmer already back then. And everything back then was basically static websites, just HTML. And he was able to do PHP programming. And he said, you have the content. Let's build a dynamic website. We throw everything you have content-wise into a database. And then we're going to have some fun.
Nice.
Everything was like searchable, and you could do all kinds of cool stuff with it. And before we knew it, we had a website with 15,000 visitors a day.
Wow.
And we're like, okay. And maybe still very naive, but they were coming from all over the world. And we didn't expect this because we thought it was mostly local and national graffiti. So from my hometown and parts of the Netherlands, I was making a lot of pictures myself. Like animal pictures, bought a scanner, then thought it would be fun to put some of these pictures online, and I had like 10,000, but it took forever to scan them, obviously. And then the whole website started growing and growing. I was already doing a lot of commission jobs for companies, local government, etc. So I was buying a lot of spray paint, and then I got in touch with the distributor because I was buying a lot from him, and I said, "Well,
it makes sense. Yeah,
I have this website. Maybe we should try selling something. Do people actually buy stuff online?" And I said, "Well, not really, but why not? You have the products, I have the website. Let's see what happens. And it was super early stages. There wasn't hardly anyone was selling anything online, but we thought, just give it a shot. And also the programmer said, yeah, that will be a fun project. I never tried building an online shop. So let's give it. And then before we knew it, also the online shop took off. Because what we didn't realize, first of all, graffiti writers like to be anonymous. So buying online was like perfect for them. And what we all think of is that in the Scandinavian countries like Finland, Sweden, etc., the prices of these products were like twice as high. So the minute people started finding us online, we got orders from Sweden, from Finland, and they were like buying whole pallets of paints. That was madness. Wow. Yeah. And that was also, I realized like, okay, maybe I can sort of mix business and pleasure, the stuff I love doing. So,
Where did that way of like creativity and forward thinking come from? Was that from growing up as a child? Was family quite involved in that? Like mom and dad, were they designers as well? Were they in that creative space or business space? Like what inspired that?
No, well, my family is definitely not on the business side of things.
Yeah, okay.
But on the creative side. So my grandfather from my mom's side was an artist, and my dad was also super creative and worked as basically an arts teacher for many years. So the creativity was always a thing at our house. I mean, it was always supported to be, especially like I was drawing all the time. And of course, when you're younger, the graffiti thing was super interesting. And I got into that. And both of my parents said, hey, if that's your thing, just give it a go.
That's really good. That's good. Yeah. And the reason I asked that question is because I like to show our audience that sometimes your upbringing, also surroundings, can really be a factor in terms of what you become and what you get into later on. So even for myself, as much as I'm in basketball now, a lot of people don't realize or know that I actually started playing basketball when I was growing up in Nigeria as an 8-year-old, 9-year-old kid. I was horrible at it. But then when I came to the UK, I started playing again from the age of like 13. But then I come from a fashion background. So my mom and dad were both designers over there. My mom still designs now here in London. And I almost took that route, but it's almost like I worked as a stylist, did bespoke tailoring as well for suits and stuff like that. And then maybe helped her with like, even just bringing clientele for herself for like bespoke stuff. But then I kind of went away from that and said, you know what, I really love basketball. Let me start something that helps the community. But then it's almost like that creative and fashion side is now coming back into what I'm doing that I love now, which is crazy because those worlds come together. So this takes me now to almost like, what was that journey like? Obviously, I can tell you my journey in terms of like from being born in Nigeria to being in London and now going from fashion to sports. What was your journey like and that process like from building that website with the arts and graffiti to now building something like SNEAKERNESS?
Yeah, now that I think of it, I always had this thing where I tried to mix my interest with how I could make some money.
Smart.
Before working, doing this graffiti website and making a living selling spray paint, I used to work at a record store. So I was already playing as a local DJ. Obviously, the records, they cost tons of money, and I thought, okay, I need to get my hands on some money. What better place could it be than a record store, where I actually buy the records, I get a discount on the records. I make some money. I can make some great contacts. Yep. So I worked also at this record store for 4 or 5 years, and then I moved on building the graffiti website. So I've always tried to. It's like, okay, I need to work. I need to make some money. What are the things that I love doing? What are the things that I'm passionate about? And then let's see where it can lead me. Because like with the graffiti website, the initial idea was not to make money out of it. It's just to be fun. And same for gaming. It's about having fun. And then later on in the process, you start thinking like, okay, let's use it as a vehicle also to make something out of it.
Yeah. It's always that thing of how can you make money from something that you love doing? Because then it almost feels like you're not actually working. It just feels like you're.
And it still feels the same. People, a lot of people tell me, "You're so lucky. You always end up with jobs that are so close to your passion and what you like." I don't think it's luck. I just pick out
hard work as well.
You love doing, and then something might come out of it. So,
and I think it's also that consistency of doing something that you love as well. Because I feel like some people might think, 2 years, 3 years, it's not making money, I'm gonna stop. But they don't realize that it
takes 10 years.
It just takes that moment, 10 years, that things just turn around and you realize that 10 years was worth it, basically.
100%. I think SNEAKERNESS is a perfect example of this. I've been into sneakers. Well, they weren't even called sneakers back then. It's just training shoes, trainers. Since I was doing track and field as a young kid, doing sport. And of course, as a young kid, you always want the latest and the greatest. And all the marketing makes you believe that if you buy the most expensive shoe, they will actually make you run faster.
Yeah. It's true. It's just like buying Jordans. It makes you feel like you're the best player on the court.
So there grew my interest for sneakers, and I've been buying them ever since. I didn't think of myself as a collector for a very long time. Just someone who bought maybe a bit more than others. And then at some point I realized there were events, and there were events all over the world. And one of my best friends, he was already going to these events, and he said, just tag along, see if you like it. And then we started going to events all over Europe. SNEAKERNESS was actually one of them, but also Crab City in London. Soul Mart in Germany, and I really enjoyed it because obviously you get to see a lot of limited edition stuff that you can't get your hands on. There was a great sense of community. I mean, we're in 15 years ago, it was still super niche. It was a thing for nerds. Let's be honest.
And nerds rule the world nowadays. So
I really enjoyed it, especially also the community part, because it was such a niche thing. Almost all these, it was 95% guys. All these guys knew each other, and everybody was about spreading knowledge and where do you buy from and how do you get this pair and blah blah blah. Really liked it. But at the same time, me and my friend, we were always quite critical. Like we went home and we always said, it was fun, but it could have been so much more. And I guess it has to do with our background. We also used to, we had the same attitude when we went to parties, to raves. Like, great night, but and we had the same sort of view on sneaker events. Like, it was great, could have been so much better.
Yeah.
And being from having this background in let's call it street culture, being involved with graffiti and as a DJ and skateboarding, etc. I always thought like, yeah, it should be a celebration of street culture.
Of course,
Because
an
everything
experience.
is, I mean, yes, it's a sneaker event. The core will always be sneakers, but
Yes.
there's so many things that are attached to this
Yeah.
attached to this world.
Yeah.
Why don't these event organizers bring in all those elements? Because that's going to be a way more exciting event instead of
Yeah.
just walking past 50, 100 tables full of trainers. There should be like free workshops and panel discussion.
Yeah.
Have a basketball tournament, and
Yeah.
so this was always my idea. Like, that they should really, there are so many opportunities to make it way bigger and also way more interesting for a way wider audience, not just the hardcore sneaker freaks, but basically anyone with an interest in street culture. So fast forward a couple of years, SNEAKERNESS Amsterdam, I think had 3 editions before I joined, and at some point they stopped doing the Amsterdam event, and I started calling around a little bit because I knew some people who were close to the organization, and this one friend of mine, he said, "Yeah, there's a new SNEAKERNESS event, SNEAKERNESS Amsterdam event coming up pretty soon, and I also know who's going to do production." I said, "Okay, who is it then?" "Yeah, it's our former colleague. He was also selling spray paint." And I said, "What? Oh, that's crazy. I'm going to give him a call," because he had a lot of experience in event production.
Nice.
Doing big techno festivals and dubstep parties. But I also knew that he didn't have a clue about sneaker culture. I basically picked up the phone and said, "Hey, dude, congrats on doing the production of SNEAKERNESS. I think that's super cool. But can I be brutally honest with you? I don't think you have a clue what you signed up for." And he said, "That you're calling me exactly at the right time, because we only have 6 more weeks to go, and I'm in way over my head. I don't have any connections in the sneaker community. I don't know any sellers. I don't know any shop owners. I really don't know where to start, and we only have 6 weeks to go." And I also have a background in marketing. And
Okay,
I said,
nice.
"Okay, let me help you on the marketing side of things, but also on the content side of things. So yes, I will sort of open up my network for you with the contacts I have in the sneaker community with the sellers and the shop. But please let me also think about what we can add to the event to bring something new, something fresh."
Yeah.
Well, that's almost 10 years ago.
Wow. And then look at you guys now.
Yeah. And so I went all in, and like I said before, it never was about the money. I just thought, what a great opportunity. I get to help these guys, put on a good show and see where it leads us. And then the guys from SNEAKERNESS International, I guess they liked what we did with that first show in Amsterdam, because they were there also as visitors. And I already managed to bring in some elements, like we did a cool exhibition with a collector who had an insane amount of tech challenges. That's the shoe from Andre Agassi.
Yeah.
He did a really cool exhibition. We had some guys painting live graffiti. So already I was bringing in those elements, and the guys in Switzerland from SNEAKERNESS International, they really liked it, and they also liked what I did on the marketing side, promote the event. And they said, well, since SNEAKERNESS is a franchise, we could really use someone like you who sort of keep check on all these license holders and help them with their marketing and think with them about the content. So yeah, then I became the marketing manager for SNEAKERNESS International, and yeah, that was never intentional. It just went all in, and yeah, let's see what happens. And then I had that position for many years, but I started taking up more and more tasks basically, and more responsibilities, especially on the content side. And from that content side also came working with a lot of the brands SNEAKERNESS is working with. So there's a lot of brand activations at the event. And I realized that some of the brands don't have a clue where to start with brand activation. And then I just reached out to them like, hey, next time you want to do something at SNEAKERNESS, get in touch with me, and then we can talk about like what I think would be a good activation for your brand at the event, because I think I know our audience pretty well by now. And it can be more than just a boring display of your latest product, you know.
Yeah, that's true. And I like that, because it's almost your way of kind of giving back as well, because you're really supporting the smaller guys as well as still showcasing all the bigger brands as well. My first SNEAKERNESS event I went to this year. And this year being 2023, because this podcast will come out in 2024, early 2024. This episode anyway. So I'm saying 2023. So this year, 2023. And I was literally blown away. It's my first ever sneaker festival I've been to. And I really like the concept. It wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting to like walk down the rows and it's like loads of people saying sneakers, but I wasn't expecting to see like 2 built-in basketball sections. You had Christian Louboutin with their side, and then you had the Edit London with theirs with NBA 2K. But then you also had the gaming, I would say esports section on the side as well. But then you also had fashion brands, so people actually selling like their own fashion clothing, sneaker protection with Crep Protect, and then you had the panel with the eBay sneaker side of things. And I was like, wow, like this is like one thing I heard from what you said on another podcast is how also people come into those events and then kind of just walking through and then leaving straight away. But with this, it's a whole day experience. There's no way you can get in there and just leave.
I mean, that's super important for us. I mean, when I started doing the events, this was the thing I wanted to accomplish. Like, let's try to find new ways how we can keep people in as long as possible. Because it's good for the sellers, because the longer people stay in, the higher the chances are people will end up buying something. It's good news for the brands, because they obviously the time they can interact with your brand will be longer or higher. It's good news for the event organizer, because people will drink another beer, etc. But maybe most important is that it's good for the community. Because if you do an event where people are in and out, there is no community sense. They just buy kicks and they leave. And hopefully what you saw also in London, if people stay longer, then they start interacting with each other.
Yes,
and
that's right.
In the community sense, like, hey, oh, that's you. Oh, yeah, I've been following you on Instagram for the last.
Yeah, I had that same experience as well. Yeah.
And for me, that's what it's all about. I mean, being a platform where people can meet. And even for me, after coming to all these events for the last 15 years, also to me, it still happens that I meet up with people for the first time offline at a SNEAKERNESS event. And I think, yeah, that's
Wow.
the coolest thing, especially when you start going to all these events all over Europe. Yeah, sometimes it happens that I go to Milan or Budapest and I meet people for the first time I've been following for ages, or I've been chatting with for years. I think that's really, really cool.
Yeah, it's really amazing. My next question is going to be around also the community side. Obviously, the Gospel Nation, we're a community brand, should I say? How important is, especially when it comes to the sneaker community, how important is embracing and also teaching the grassroots sides as well? So people that are just starting out within that industry, I'm even talking about not just sneaker collectors or sneakerheads, but also sneaker designers as well. Is that something that you guys take upon yourself to really educate in that space?
100%. I always tell people that one of the things I enjoy the most about my job and one of the things I'm most proud of is the fact that with SNEAKERNESS we can provide a platform for young, talented designers, photographers, artists, you name it. And over the years, we built this sort of great portfolio of people that we helped, sort of reaching a new level in their careers. So yeah, that's super important for me. And we do it in all kinds of ways. People approach us, like they get into touch on Insta or by email, like just simple emails like, hey, I've been working on my own brand for a while now. I would love to show it to your audience. Can we make this happen? Or I'm an upcoming artist. This is my work. Is there a possibility to exhibit it at your event? I'm a starting photographer. Can I come to the event and shoot it?
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah. I would say our doors are always open for those people. And we try to support them wherever we can by opening up our network to them, making sure they can exhibit their work, getting into touch with the right people.
Amazing. And do you feel like social media has helped with the growth of SNEAKERNESS as well? Or if not just social media, what else has contributed to that?
I wouldn't even say that social media helped SNEAKERNESS grow, but social media helped the whole sneaker community / sneaker craze rise to where it is right now. I mean, before social, it wasn't as big as it is now. And I guess it also has to do with social media being very visual, people making pictures of what they buy, of what they're proud of, showing their outfits, showing their collections. I mean, if you take away social media, that almost doesn't exist. It used to, but then again, it was super niche, sort of hidden,
very exclusive,
super specific platforms, forums, stuff like that. But then you really needed to dig deep into it. And now you just open up your Instagram account or your TikTok account, and it's out there, you know.
That's and it's quite powerful, because even for us as well, what we do now, I think social media has really supported that, because if we weren't able to showcase a lot of the young guys, creating highlights for them in our sessions, etc., or even this podcast, we can't really put our messages out there to the global audience as well. One thing that you did say about platforms, so this platform is actually called Beyond the Athlete, which is part of Basketball Nation. But Beyond the Athlete was something that we came up with because we wanted young athletes to really think, okay, as much as I'm a basketball player, as much as I'm an athlete, what else can I do? So the platform was to really showcase people like yourself who may have been into sports at a young age or even at a pro level, but then are still kind of doing great things in an industry that they love as well. For example, with yourself, sneakers. So that's something we want to showcase, and it's great that we're able to hear your story and hear from you, and like young guys that live in, let's say we're talking about 15, 16-year-olds that in South London or East London or somewhere that they would never be able to interface with you, can interface with you on this platform, which is amazing. So my next question, talking about that age group, is obviously to do with the future. What does the future look like for SNEAKERNESS and also the world of sneakers?
If I look at SNEAKERNESS right now, we're still growing, visitor-wise, but also where we operate. So for next year, I'm really busy at the moment, sort of ironing out the last bits for the upcoming tour for 24. It looks like we will add 2 new cities to the tour, so that's
amazing.
very exciting, and one of them might be in the UK. So
wow. Okay, looking forward to it. What
Yeah,
about yourself?
There's some serious interest from the States.
Okay, that's really good. Strong, very strong.
Yeah. And I think people start reaching out to us now because they realize that what we do is something different.
Yes.
In the States, you have SneakerCon. They exist almost or as long as we do, like 15, 17 years. But they kept the concept quite the same over all these years. In my opinion, and they do a great job, but it's still a venue, loads of tables, loads of trainers, maybe 1 or 2 brand activations, and that's about it. And I think people starting to see what we do in Europe, that is very community driven, and it's really about celebrating the whole culture, whole culture. Yeah, and there seems to be an interest for that also in the States. So yeah, let's see.
Sounds good. Moving on from that as well, one thing I do like about the whole concept of SNEAKERNESS is the experience that it provides, and it's for all ages, from the youngest to the oldest, which is very, very key. And for me, I'm also thinking, are you guys looking to sort of keep that concept, or are you also looking to maybe expand that a bit more, maybe even looking at events more like you'd have like a tournament, like an esports tournament, that sort of atmosphere basically, where people come in and they're leaving like, oh my God, it's all over social media as well. So the people are actually being used as ways to create content also. Sorry, that's my mind is just thinking, so I just want to ask that question after what you just said. So yeah, it'll be interesting to kind of see something like that. But is that where your mind is going, or you're just sort of still carrying on with this concept and seeing how far it could work for, and then innovate from there?
Yeah, we're always working at a couple of things at the same time. What's interesting is that because I'm a license holder myself, so next to being co-CEO, I'm also responsible for the Amsterdam, the Rotterdam, and the Cologne event. And there we always have a kids corner. It's basically where we have 2 or 3 professionals that take care of the kids. So mom and dad can stroll around without having to drag the kids along. And that's already a fun concept, and especially the parents, they really appreciate it, and the kids love it. But then this year in Milan, we had a brand corporation with Just Play. It's from Italy. It's a shop mainly focusing on kids sneakers and apparel. And what they did a whole kids area, and this was really, really cool. And this is something we would love to incorporate also at the other events. So they had everything was for free. They did kids basketball workshop / mini tournament, skateboarding workshops for kids, fingerboarding, DJ academy for kids. And it was just, that was amazing. It was really, really cool to see all these kids go wild. So yeah, that's definitely something we would love to do also at the other events if possible. So yeah.
That sounds really good that you really cater to those age groups, and I think that's quite important because the younger ones are pretty much the future as well. So they're the ones that are really going to remember and maybe even take SNEAKERNESS or any brand that comes out of SNEAKERNESS to another level as well, which is quite powerful. So yeah, so that was amazing, and this is something that we're also doing as well, focusing on the younger generation. As much as we focus on the 16, 18, 19-year-olds, which are very important, the younger generation also, we want to be able to follow their journeys throughout what they love and really support them in any way that we can, the way that I didn't get that support, basically. So that's quite powerful. So I have 3 more. Yeah, go on, sorry. Go on.
I'm always hoping that people will knock at my door at some point and say, hey, this is me. Here I am. I think I have some ideas for you. Can I help? Because obviously I'm not the youngest anymore either. I like to think I am. But at 45, it's getting harder and harder to keep your ear to the ground, and
that's
to,
true.
to have still the perfect feeling with what's happening with the kids. It helps that I have kids in a very wide age range from months old to 20 years old.
Wow.
I always get the direct feedback at home, like, okay, Dad. Okay, or that's so cool. But yeah, like I said, I really hope people will knock at my door like, hey, we have some fresh ideas. How can we help?
Exactly. And yeah, feel free. I have some fresh ideas, so I'm knocking at your door as well.
Let's go.
So yeah, definitely. So I have 3 more questions, and this question's on almost kind of like exclusive from the conversation. So my first question is, do you have a question for me?
Ooh, that's a nice one. Yeah, I think you sort of answered it already. Like, what's your main aim with the podcast? Like, especially showing the young kids what's possible.
Yeah.
Being
It's also pretty much my own library of for education as well. So as much as I'm doing this for them, I'm also learning from everyone that I speak to, and it's also my way to. It's almost like if I met you on the street and we start having a conversation, this is what it is. But we give the people opportunity to hear our conversation, basically. So that's what it is really. And obviously I want this to reach lots of people around the world, and inspire a lot of people around the world as well. But then they can also take a lot of things from yourself and other guests and really use that in their daily lives and things that they love, business, education, sports, whatever, and really apply those things. So that's the main thing, really.
Cool.
Next question is, even though you may not have said that you play basketball, but you would know these players, you have to start, bench, and trade these 3 players: Michael Jordan, LeBron, Kobe Bryant.
Jesus.
Tough one.
Yeah, that's not a fair question.
Yeah, no, it's never fair.
Yeah, I guess it's also it has to do with my age.
Mhm. Any factor doesn't matter. Yeah, it's good. Any answer is good.
So yeah, for me, Jordan will always be my number one. Because then I was still watching a lot of basketball myself.
Yeah.
So yeah, that will always be my reference point.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really answer your question, but
So you wouldn't bench any of the other two?
no.
You wouldn't even have them on your team?
Yeah, let's
Okay,
go.
fair enough. Fair enough. And last but not least, who would you like to see on this podcast, or who would you like to recommend to be on this podcast?
Ooh, I think someone who's very interesting to speak to is Derek Morrison.
Okay.
He used to work at StockX.
Okay.
And yeah, he always has.
I actually tried to reach out to him, but he never got back to me,
Okay,
unfortunately. So
let me try for you then.
thank you.
He will be an amazing guest. And obviously he can talk a lot about business, but also his view on the market is also really interesting.
Okay, amazing. Well, Matthijs, thank you very much for coming on today. I hope we can do this again sometime soon.
Sure.
And when you're in London, dinner is on me if you're free. So just let me know. But yeah, I appreciate your time, and everyone appreciate your time. And thank you everyone for watching today. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I hope that there's a lot of lessons that you've taken from this conversation. Feel free to subscribe, comment, and like. Your feedback is very, very important. And we hope to see you guys again soon. Take care. Coach David out. Peace.